Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mindful Movement. And today we are with our yoga instructor, Becca. But before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone that AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to the more than 100 million Americans 50 plus and their families. You can learn more at aarp.org. And before we get started, we also want to just remind everyone that if you're starting a new exercise program, please check with your doctor or healthcare provider before doing so. We want to make sure that you're healthy and in good shape in order to start something new from a physical standpoint. So, with that said, and we are going to go to Becca. How are you this morning, Becca?
Hi, Jamie. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Still a little chilly here in Alabama.
It is. It got cold on us again, didn't it?
It did. We had a little bit of spring and then winter is back. So, what do you have for us today?
Well, today, Jamie, I thought we would focus in on the neck and the shoulders. Always a good place to work to relieve some tension and, just improve mobility there. So that's what we'll be focusing in on today.
All right. Well, that sounds great. And I'm going to leave you to it and get out of your way.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, we're glad to have people from all over. Feel free to leave us the message in the chat if you want about where you're visiting from and what things you might like to request from our Mindful Movement program. We're happy to hear your suggestions. Like I said, today we're going to focus in on the neck and shoulders. We'll do some things seated as we always do. We'll also have some opportunities to be standing, in which case you can use the chair as a means of support and balance if you need it. We'll also sometimes just use the chair as a prop, right, to help us do some stretching. So we'll just start by sitting tall, just letting your hands, your arms rest comfortably in your lap or on your thighs. You might even close your eyes for this point. It's optional though. You can keep them open if you prefer. And I just want you to take a few moments just to notice the area of your neck and your shoulders. Maybe it's a part of your body that you're already very aware of. Perhaps it gives you some difficulty, some stiffness, or some soreness, or some pain, or maybe you've noticed some decreases in its range of motion, over time. These are all normal things to experience. We're going to work within what's comfortable for our own bodies, so keep that in mind as we begin to make our movements. And you don't need to push to anything that feels sharp or stabbing or just more intense, right? Maybe some tightness or stiffness or soreness is going to be, present as you make your movements, but I want you to be a good judge of what's healthy for your body by backing off if you're getting those signals from your body that it's a little too much. All right, so just let's take another few moments. Breathe in. Breathe out, just start to slow down your breathing. Let's do a little motion with the hands or the arms as we do our breathing work here. So as you inhale, you might lift the arms up. They could be at any angle and they can go to any height. And then as you exhale, just turn the palms down and let the arms float back down. All right, so inhale, maybe a lift of those arms. Exhale, drop and draw them back down. 2 more times. All right, now you can just let the arms rest in your lap. We're going to sit up tall. We're going to imagine that there's a draw up towards the ceiling through the crown of the head, like there's a string attached. I'm sure you've heard that before, and it's pulling you gently up to a little more height. And hopefully it's also bringing your head just a little bit back, right? We tend to be kind of head forward just because we're always looking at something in front of us, a screen, a phone, driving, reading a book, doing our knitting or our crafts or whatever it is that we might be doing. The head tends to come forward. So I'm asking you to pay attention to not just lifting up towards the ceiling, but also bringing the head a little bit back, more over your shoulders. And that may feel awkward or unnatural if that's not where your head is used to being. So that's okay, right? All right, so we're sitting tall, bring the head back a little bit if we can, and then let's just run through some range of motion for the neck, turning right and left. And for this, I want you really just to go till you feel that first sort of limitation, whether it's a tightness or just a stop, or just doesn't go any further easily. And just notice how far that is. Try to take note of how far over does your chin go towards your shoulder. Is it different on the right and left side? So for instance, I'm noticing that when I turn to the right, my chin doesn't go quite as far as it does to the left. All right, now we're going to do a different motion. Still sit tall, bring the head back a little bit. Try taking a little tilt, ear towards the shoulder, and just taking it side to side. Again, I'm just going to go easy. I'm not forcing. I'm just letting the weight of my head. And I'm noticing if there's a difference in sensation as I go to each side, if it goes, further on one side than the other. All right. And then we'll come back to center. We'll do one more motion, an isolation, right? And this is nodding or taking the chin down towards the chest and then lifting the chin up and letting the head fall back. All right. So again, you're just going to take note of how far can you go in both directions. What does it feel like? It's not uncommon for, tilting the head back to be more limited or for there to, for there to be some sort of sensation there that stops you. So listen to that and just go to a place that feels comfortable for you, even if it's small. All right, now back to center. Now we're going to try to repeat those 3 movements at the end and see what kind of change or difference we notice and see if anything, loosens up or, increases in range of motion after we do our practice. All right, so sitting tall, we're going to move down into the shoulders and start rolling them. So, our neck muscles all feed into our upper back and our shoulder blades and our shoulders in various ways. So they're very connected. Of course, the whole body's connected all throughout, but this area has some special connections for sure. All right, so shoulders are coming forward and then up towards the ears and then draw back and down. Try to make this slow and pretty deliberate, going as far as you comfortably can, but with good control. It's not uncommon to feel some pops and creaks as those bones in your upper back, the shoulder blades, kind of massage around and through your muscles, right? All right, now we're going to isolate one shoulder at a time. So bring one shoulder up, back, and down, and then the other. All right, and I want you to start to let this do that natural sort of twisting that comes with that. And I'm going to turn my head and look back as I roll that shoulder back. Now, if I want to go a little bigger, if it feels comfortable to move a little bigger in the arms, you can start to bring one elbow up and around and back. Turning, looking back as you go. Good. Let's do 4 more. Again, you don't have to be picking up your arm quite so high. It might be that your arm stays down at your side. Last one. Back to center. All right. Go ahead and just let those hands come down and give them some circles, right and left or back and forth. Clockwise, counterclockwise, I guess is the right terminology, not right and left. All right. Good. Now, a few more shoulder range of motion things, and then we're going to return to the head and the head and neck and do a little strengthening. All right, so hands forward, right? Elbows can be low, or you can lift them up high, anywhere in between that works for you. And we're going to take one hand behind the head, palm is facing forward, the other hand behind your back, the palm is facing backwards, all right? And then back out to the side where you started, and then go the other way. Now I'm trying to stay tall. I'm still imagining that my string, at the crown of the head is pulling me up tall, and I'm pulling my head slightly back. My chin might feel just a little bit tucked if that's not a normal position for me. All right, so keep those arms going. You're going as far behind your back as you can comfortably reach. So for some people, that might be a hand on the head. For others, it might be hand all the way between your shoulder blades. All right. 4 more. All right. right, good. Arms down. All right. Now we're going to do a little strengthening routine for the neck. These are called isometric exercises because they involve holding a steady position against resistance. We're not going to move the head through space against resistance. We're going to use our own hands to provide the resistance. And when we do this, you want to take a fairly light to medium amount of effort, right? So don't push with your head as hard as possible. Keep it on the lighter side. So let's start with hands behind the head. Sit up tall. And I'm just going to push my head back into my hands, and my arms are resisting. And then I relax. All right, so it's hard to see from the front. It's even hard to see from the side because there's not much movement, as I mentioned, but I'll turn to the side in case that helps. So I'm pushing my head back, holding that with my hands, and then relaxing. Let's just do 3 more. Push back, relax, push back, relax. 1 more. All right, drop the arms down. Our next one is the opposite direction. It's going to be pushing that head forward, right? Like I'm trying to jut that chin forward. I'm going to put my hands. I like to use both because then I don't have a tendency as much to sort of turn to one side. It could be your fingertips in the center of your forehead, or it could be the heels of your hands, okay? Like I said, one hand is fine if that's how you want to do it. All right, so again, I'm not moving much, but I'm just going to press my head forward into my fingertips or into my palms. Feel a little contraction around the neck, under the jaw, and then relax. Push, relax. Just 3 more. And then release those arms down. Feel free to go back to shoulder rolls anytime you feel like you need to relieve a little tension or anything there. All right, now we're going to work on the direction of rotation, that turning of the head right and left, okay? The hands are going to be on either side of the head at the temples, or, sort of just above the jaw or front of the ear, right? It could be, again, fingertips or the palms. All right, we're going to alternate right, left with this one. So I've got my hands on my head, and I'm turning to the right into that hand, and then I'm turning into the left, like I'm trying to turn my head and look over that shoulder. Turn, relax, turn, relax. Keep that going. Again, light to medium effort. If it feels a little strained or you don't like the way it's feeling, back off and do a lighter press. Last 2 each direction. Okay, let the arms come down for a moment, shake it out. So I've got 1 more direction to do, and that's the tilting of the head from side to side. So it'll look the same as the one we just did, which was rotation, but the action that I'm trying to do with my movement or my press into my hands is going to be that side to side tilt. All right, so hands or fingertips on the sides of your head, tilt to the right, like you're trying to bring that ear down to the shoulder, tilt left, keep alternating. All right, last 2 each side. And the arms come down. All right, I always like to return to a little shoulder roll after that. All right. All right, now let's move back into a little bit of mobility. So let's use the arms, pull back from the chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, sort of lift your chest up. It should feel like an arch. And if you want, you can let the head tilt, the head back, the chin up. And then we're going to go the opposite way. Push forward, get rounded, maybe bring the chin down towards your chest. All right, so pull and push. Now you can make that movement of the head small or not at all. Right? If it doesn't feel comfortable to do that, we're also, trying to really focus on getting the upper back to move, the shoulder blades to move. Good. 3 more. All right, let those arms drop. We're going to do one more thing seated, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time standing, all right, to get some different perspective and position. But this last movement we're going to do before we stand is drop your chin to your chest. Try to stay sitting up tall through the upper, chest and shoulders, but let the head fall. And then keep the chin, this is the tricky part, keep the chin pointed at your chest or at the center of your body as you roll your head to one side. So I'm kind of pivoting on the chin. I'm keeping the chin pointed at the middle and rolling the ear over to the shoulder. All right. That's in contrast or different from letting the chin draw a line across the chest or bringing the chin from shoulder to shoulder. We'll do that one later. For now, let's just try to take a couple more of these rolls. Head forward, chin points to the middle. 2 more times. All right, and bring it back into center and lift up. All right, now let's come up to standing. All right, so we're getting on our feet. You could use your chair if you want to have a little support. Just kind of take the tall part of the chair in front of you so you can touch there as needed for a little support. There'll also be some times where we put our hands on the chair and walk everything else back so we can get a good stretch out. All right, so let's start by taking one foot back with the other foot close to the chair. All right. Now, to start with, you can have your hands resting on the chair or down at your sides. I'm just going to turn and look towards the back leg on the same side as that leg, right? And then look back to the front. So I'm turning. All right. And so I'm going to start to turn with the arm and the chest as well. All right. And I can let that arm come back to the front. I can touch the chair with the other arm if I need to keep myself steady. I'm going to push into the floor with strong legs. All right, about 3 more. All right, back to the front. We're staying in the same position now. Okay, so same position with the legs. All right, here's the thing we're going to do that's a little different on this round. I'm going to take that the same arm that's on that's the leg in the front. All right, so same as, and I'm going to just lift it up. Okay. All right, that other arm can touch the chair or rest at your side. Now I'm going to look up towards that hand. All right, and if I want to take it all the way up, I can bring it a little more in front. So I'm going to look to that, and then I'm going to turn and look towards the back foot. I may not be able to see that back foot, but I'm going to look back and down in that direction. Then I'm going to look up and forward towards the hand. So I'm taking my head and I'm turning it on a diagonal. You may notice that this is a little challenge for your balance as well. So hold on if needed. All right, just a couple more times, turning that head, look down and back towards the foot, look up and forward towards the hand. One more time. And then let's step in. All right. Now, this is between sides. We're going to just take the hands onto the top of the chair, or it can be on a wall if you prefer, and just walk the feet, the hips back, and get stretched out nice and long through the arms and through the spine and through the backs of the legs. All right, and then walk it in. We're going to take this all to the other side. So I'm switching which leg is forward. I'm in that lunge stance. Got nice strong legs, up tall through the rest of the body and all the way through the crown of the head. All right, now we start with the turning. Turn the head towards the back leg, right? Turning just to that side. And you can start to bring that arm back with you if you want. Hold on as needed. All right, so making that turn of the neck with the rest of the body. Good, a couple more. All right, now face forward. Here's where we're going to work on that diagonal. Now, you don't have to raise your arm up, right? You could look towards, just up in the air. Having the arm raised is just a little more challenge, right? So you can raise that arm, the same arm as the front leg, right? You can take it up as high as you're comfortable with. The other arm can hold on or not. And I'm going to look up towards that hand or look up and over, and then turn and look back and down. Like I'm trying to look at that back foot. Look up and then turn and look back and down. Look forward and up. Watch that balance challenge. Hold on if needed, or, keep yourself challenged by not touching. 2 more times, looking on that diagonal. All right, and then step it back up. We're going to take, again, the hands to the top of the chair or maybe on a wall. Walk it back so that those arms come up, hopefully close to the face, right? It may not work that way for everyone, but that's the direction I want you to head. See if you can get that, stretch of the arms towards the head. All right, now bring it back up to standing behind the chair. And again, you can use it for some support if you want. All right, so we're going to take this time and pull one arm back, kind of like a, elbow pull, kind of like an arch, right? And look up. And then I'm going to reach forward with that arm and look down, right? So I can use my other hand to hold on if I need to. Look up. Reach forward with the arm and look down. Look up, pulling that elbow and shoulder back. Look down. 2 more. All right, now one more time, and we're going to hold steady here with the elbow back, but bring the chin back down to level so you're not looking up. So I'm just pulling the shoulder, elbow, shoulder blade back, all right? And then I'm going to turn my head away from this hand. So I'm turning away from the camera right now, and then I'm going to turn my head and look towards that hand if I can, all right? I'm turning the head away from it, and then turning the head towards it. 2 more times. All right, and then look forward, let that arm drop. Just pause a moment. You should have a lot more sensation or awareness or, difference in feeling on that side that you were just working with compared to the other side. So take note of that. Let your nervous system have a moment with that sensation. All right, and we'll do that the other side. So again, remember, maybe you're touching or holding onto your chair for support. All right, so I'm going to pull that elbow back, push that arm forward. On the pull back, I'm going to look up if I can, tipping my chin up, my head back, and then I'm going to tuck the chin into the throat. Trying to still keep that head pulled back, right? You tend to have a little more movement of tilting the head back if it starts from that position of being more centered over the spine and over the shoulders. 2 more. Reach out, tuck the chin, pull back, lift the chin. All right, now we're going to pull that arm back and keep it back. So I'm rolling that shoulder back. I'm rolling that hand back. I'm going to turn around just so it's easier to see. All right, could be holding on because the balance might get a little challenged as you turn your head. You try to look at that hand or towards that hand and then look away from it. Turn towards it. Turn away. 2 more. All right, and then release that down. Let's take one more stretch. Unless this is not something that you're finding helpful, you can skip if that's the case. But if you found this stretch to feel good to your body, stretch back with the hips and the arms up by the head one more time. All right, now walk it in. We're going to come back to a seat. We're going to do a couple more mobilizations or movements for the neck, and some stretching there, and then we're going to reassess. what we did at the beginning. All right, now earlier we did a movement where I asked you to keep the chin pointing at the center. This time we're going to do it differently. All right, we're going to drop the chin to the chest, and we're going to drag that chin over towards one shoulder. And then drop the chin back down and drag it slowly across the collarbones and up and over to the other shoulder. All right, so a little different way of moving. Neither one is right or wrong. They're just different. The neck has a real high, capacity to move in all kinds of ways and directions and combinations. Now, as you keep going with this, you might find that when you get that chin up or towards your shoulder, that you can tilt your head back. So over the back of the shoulder, and then bring it forward, drag the chin over to the other shoulder, maybe tilt back. So you're just exploring, what does it feel like to tilt back like this? And you might tilt back and go a little further, letting that face kind of come up towards the ceiling and then back around. Imagine that force lifting you up, lifting up your nose, your face towards the ceiling. Maybe you want to make a full circle. So that's something you're invited to explore, but it's perfectly okay if the full circle just does not work. You might reach just a kink or something that's uncomfortable that you can't get around. I don't want you to force it. All right, just take a couple more explorations of this, partial circle or full circle, maybe switch directions. All right, and then pick it up back to center, pause. Do a little gentle roll of the shoulders. We're going to do one more stretch. This stretch will involve some movement of the arm in order to stretch into the neck. All right, so again, you get to decide how much intensity you feel comfortable with, and you'll control that, by how much you reach your arm. All right, so sit tall, let your head tilt towards the left shoulder. All right, and then the opposite arm, the right arm, is going to just drop down and get a little heavy. All right, and then we're going to just take a little gentle lift of that arm up, and then exhale, bring that arm down. And you can pull like I'm pulling my elbow towards my waist. All right, that's the way to do a little more intense. Or you can simply drop the arm and let it just drop heavy at your side. That might be enough. And you can play around at slightly different angles as you pull the arm down or as you drop the arm down. You can even turn your head a little more into your shoulder if you want to see what that feels like. Let's just do 3 more on this side. All right, now last time, let that arm come down and into your lap. Roll your head forward, pick it up. Pause a moment just to notice probably that right side of your neck and shoulder feels bigger or, more open than the other side. All right, now let's do the other side. Tilt the head to the right ear towards right shoulder. Left arm can just drop down and get heavy so you can see what that feels like. And then a few motions, arm up, arm down. Again, maybe you're pulling that elbow into your waist. Maybe you're letting that arm just drop at your side and be heavy. You can play around with the angle. Three more. All right, arm to your lap, head forward, and pick it up. Pause. Notice any differences. We're almost out of time, but I want us to quickly run through our assessment, right? So we can see how things might have changed. So do just a couple little shoulder rolls. Sit up tall, bring your head back like it's being pulled up. All right, and then let's turn right and left. And see if you can remember at the very beginning we did this and we tried to take note of how far. I still feel a little tighter when I turn to the right, but it's going further than it did at the first. So that's a difference for me. All right, now we're going to tilt the head side to side, right and left. See if that feels any different. All right, and then lastly, nodding, chin down, Chin up, see if that's changed and how that feels and or how far you can go. All right, bring it back to center. Lift your hands together at the heart for gratitude to your body and its capabilities. And as always, we thank you for joining us, and we thank AARP of Alabama for giving us these opportunities to move mindfully together. Let us know what you think, and hopefully join us again every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Hey, Becca, that was great.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I especially enjoyed the stretching. For those of us who sit at a desk all day, that is really important. The neck and the shoulders get so tense. But thanks so much on this chilly February morning. We're so glad that you could join us today. And Becca, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And remember that you can rewatch this Mindful Movement episode on our Facebook and YouTube channels anytime at your convenience. And we'll see you next time.